France has grown all too used to hostage videos. After all, 15 French nationals are currently held in Africa. But to see children aged 5 to 12, for many here, it's a shock. We do not negotiate on that kind of basis with these kinds of groups, so says the French defense minister in reaction to a video uploaded to the internet that shows the 7 who were abducted a week ago on their return from a family outing in a national park in northern Cameroon. In the video, abductors, speaking Arabic with a local accent, claim to hail from Nigerian radical group Boko Haram. Really? Is it the same Boko Haram that's currently engaged in talks with the Nigerian government, or a splinter group? What's the true link, if any, to France's intervention in Mali? Jihadists there trace their origins and draw much of their leadership from uprooted Algerian Salafists. But what about Nigeria? We're going to be looking at how Africa's most populous nation is dealing with radicals who last year killed nearly 800 citizens, which brings us back to the question of how do you deal with these hostage takers, how to stop vast swathes of West Africa from becoming permanent no-go areas. Today in the France 24 debate, kidnapped in West Africa. With us from the Nigerian capital, Abuja, Hussaini Abdu, country director for the humanitarian aid organization Action Aid Nigeria. Thank you for being with us. Also with us, former Lagos-based reporter Emmanuel Goujon, now consultant with Africa Global Approach. Welcome back to the debate. Welcome back as well to defense advisor, political scientist Pierre Conessa, author of The Manufacturing of the Enemy, or How to Kill with a Clean Conscience. France 24's Deneg Ledoux is no stranger to West Africa. We'll be talking about what she has seen on her most recent trip to neighboring Niger, and also conflict and post-conflict resolution advisor Pierre-Antoine Brault of Bois Landry Consulting. Welcome to the debate, the France 24 debate. We can always join the conversation on Facebook, and you have, and on Twitter, our hashtag F24debate. The French Prime Minister says intelligence services are poring over the video. We showed you a frame of that video in the introduction. Let me begin with you, Pierre Conessa. What can they learn from that video?
Well, it's quite difficult for me to explain because I'm not a specialist of Nigeria, but
just generally, would be it, you know, when the hostage takers put out this kind of video, what do you learn?
What is the most significant for me is that the kidnapping is an enlargement of kidnapping in the industry in Africa and globally speaking in all over the world, because for the first time they are kidnapping children, and they are making movie on the children, and threatening them to kill the children for the first time in the history, which is a step forward, I would say. The second question is, I don't know in which language the movie has been taken. Is it in Hausa? Is it in Arabic? It seems to be in Arabic with a bad accent, which means that it's a lesson learned, you know, how to explain in respecting the rules of Arabic Salafists, how to explain that the kidnapping is justified by the Islamic law.
So, Emmanuel Goujon, we're going to talk later about whether or not it's Boko Haram that did it, but just seeing the video gives you already kind of an idea of who these people are.
An idea of who are these people, yes, through different images we have. We have the images, the pictures of the uniforms, the weapons, the fact that all the men are hiding their faces, which is not the case in previous messages from Boko Haram, when one of the leaders is showing his own face and speaking to the world openly. Here they are all hiding their faces. You can see also that it's inside something, maybe a tent or something that is hidden from outside, so you cannot see what is outside in order to hide the location of the hostages.
And reportedly, intelligence agents are poring over the background noise, because apparently you can hear conversations in the background.
Most probably background noise. Also, if there is a road nearby or not. They can check also on the serial numbers of the weapons by enlarging the pictures. They can check, of course, the uniform, what kind of uniform they wear, if they are common in the area. They can try to understand as well why they are speaking in Arabic and not in Hausa, which is normally the language Boko Haram is using. Also trying to identify the accent of the main speaker. So many things they can find out through these videos.
Pierre-Antoine Brault, as Pierre connaissait, was saying this big surprise here is, of course, that they're showing children. And you can see the video is more than 3 minutes long. They show children. Earlier, when I looked at the forums of the main newspapers in Nigeria, people there were shocked, just as shocked as the French were.
Yes, definitely. It's no surprise that most of the Nigerian people are very shocked by this attitude. It has to be reminded that the members of Boko Haram are less than 0.5% of all the Muslims in Nigeria, if I'm correct. Then this is definitely against many traditions in the Nigerian Islam as well. So definitely this is very shocking for them, yes.
Husseini Abdou, your thoughts? Why are they showing the children on that video?
Yeah, I think showing the children is just part of the process of actually extracting a level of negotiation or something, which is more like, okay, when you show the children, it will attract a global sympathy, and therefore attempt will not be made to ensure that they meet their demands. On games on terrorism, there are no commitment to basic values or principles or key issues around laws of war and all that. They are not much bothered about that. I think what they wanted to do is to present to the people that we have this number of people, and you could see that from the video. So you are not missing anybody. So for the family, everybody you have seen, those they have heard, so you know that they are with us. Then the second one is to say, okay, with these children around, the world is forced to take a quick action in terms of possibly meeting their demands. But for me, I, like others have said, I think that we need to also be very careful. Yes, of course, in the video, they indicated that it was Boko Haram, that they are Boko Haram, but very keen followers of Boko Haram can appreciate how they work. But again, we've also seen that in the last few years or so, Boko Haram has also gone through some level of fragmentations here and there.
We'll get back to those. We'll get back to those fragmentations in a moment. Okay. First of all, I just want to, Doineig Ledoux, just want to remind viewers, we're not on France 24 showing the video. Can you explain?
No, of course not. We're not showing the video because that's what the abductors would want us to show the video. And we have a very strict policy like most French media. It's, of course, not to show the faces. We as you may have mentioned, we have a still picture with faces are not shown, blurred. And that's the first point. And the second point, and in any hostage or detainee situation, is not listening to what the people are saying, because obviously they're speaking under restraint. They're not free of speech, so we're not broadcasting what they're actually saying. I mean, the family father in the beginning of the video says that has a list of the demands of the abductors, and we are not broadcasting that either.
All right, Doineig, I'm going to challenge you a little bit here, because French television reporter Hervé Guéquière, who was held hostage in Afghanistan, said this Tuesday he was a bit disappointed that French media aren't showing it. He says even under duress, captives like it when the media air their videos.
Making a video is almost reassuring, because when a video is made, it means that there's a link between us, the hostage takers, and those who are going to negotiate. In this case, the French, the Nigerians, and the Cameroonians.
Guéquière, again, he goes on to say he's disappointed that the video is not being shown.
He knows better from his former hostage point of view, I guess. But as a journalist, I think we have a duty to respect those people. We know they're alive. At least they were alive when the video was shot, and the families obviously are going to see the video. So this is not a show for the public. It has to be very respectful of the hostages.
All right, the French foreign minister on a trip to Bogota, Colombia, drew his own conclusions from the video. Laurent Fabius.
It confirms the limitless cruelty of the hostage takers. We have carried out the verification process, which is necessary with these types of images. The only thing to be said is to reiterate how shocking these images are. The cruelty shown by the kidnappers, and the French government's determination to do everything possible to free the hostages.
To do everything possible to free the hostages. What does that mean, Pierre Conessa?
Nothing. I would like to point out something which seems to me very important. I mean, there are two kinds of kidnappings. The first one is criminal kidnapping, in which you don't have videos, you don't have movies, because the negotiation is quite secret between the kidnappers and the enterprise, usually a foreign enterprise, in which, you know, the process is completely silent and completely discreet, and you just negotiate through a company usually living in England, out to what's the amount of the ransom and what's the process of liberalization. And this is the most important part of industry of kidnapping today in the world. And the price in that activity is quite less than it is in this kind of kidnapping, in which, you know, the mediatization and the negotiation with the state is a way to increase the amount of the process.
Hold on, you say, let's be clear. So what you're saying is that because it's mediatized, that's going to increase the actual ransom money that may be paid.
Yeah. But because you are not negotiating with an enterprise in which the mutual interest is not to discuss publicly about that. In that case of process, you want to publicize your cause, you want to have a public communication. And the process to make the state, I mean the democratic state in danger, is to mediatize the kidnapping. So they put this movie, and they are waiting for you to broadcast this movie because, you know, it's a way to exert a pressure on the government, explaining we have the hostages, and you don't want to discuss with us. You understand? This is a process of, I would say, a third-party process. You know, that's why, you know, I understand what you mean. You don't have to come inside this kind of hostages process. But when the government is obliged to say that we don't negotiate with kidnappers, but that's not true.
Pierre-Antoine Braud, that's what the French defense minister said this Tuesday. We don't negotiate with these kinds of people.
Yeah, that's the usual sentence. If you want to go to the bargaining table, you will not say before that you will bargain. So at least you can get a concession by just joining the bargaining table. So that's basic principle in bargaining in such situations. And so it's also the typical vocabulary that is used in this kind of situation, if I'm correct. Just a point on the mediatization, and as you mentioned, all situations are these two different types, and your colleagues, François Picard, has his own point of view. But definitely, I would nearly say the weaker, the louder the kidnappers are. I.e., if I'm correct, Emmanuel, Boko Haram is assessed to have maximum 500-600 combatants in clandestine cells. At least for the figures I got 1 year and a half ago. So you need to make noise in that case.
Let me ask Husseini Abdu, how weak or strong is Boko Haram, at least the historic Boko Haram at this point?
Well, I think defining Boko Haram in terms of weakness or strengths is quite difficult because it's not a conventional army. And if it's not a conventional army, you can't actually state what is their weaponry and how many soldiers they have actually in the battle. So it's quite difficult. But what we actually know is the kind of things we're seeing is quite unusual and very uncommon with the practice, with the way Boko Haram has been running its insurgency in the last few years or months. They do kidnapping, and this is actually the first time that they're still is. Number two, the way they disseminate their information has always been clear. They distribute handbills, and they always speak in Hausa. And they always speak through either their spokesperson or their leader, who never disguise his face. The spokesperson often speaks through the telephone, and he always speaks in sometimes either in English or most time in Hausa, local Hausa language. This is the first time, and even if you look at the background, the leader's video
has a different background.
They actually have the background is different, is black, which is a typical Al-Qaeda kind of background. It's not one of those background that Shekau often used for his YouTube. So I think we need to look deeper than what we are actually seeing. Yes, it is possibly of Boko Haram that decided to go this particular way. And it could also be possible that we are dealing with a new body that are linked to other international structures outside what we are experiencing.
All right, a possible new body. I'm going to interrupt you because the quality of the phone line is not great. We're going to try to fix that very quickly, Husseini. You're saying we could be dealing with a new body that would complicate matters. Just one comment from one of our viewers on the France 24 Debate Facebook page, Bruno in Nantes, saying his advice is to negotiate slowly and at the same time prepare a military operation to rescue the hostages. By kidnapping children, this terrorist organization surpasses all limits of extremism and wrote its own sentence, he says. The kidnappers, who, by the way, spell out their motives and demands in the video, they're putting the onus on France and calling for the release of men and women linked to their group currently held in Nigeria and Cameroonian jails. But Emmanuel Goujon, it turns out there may not even be any Islamist militants right now in Cameroonian jails.
There might have been some people arrested because we know for sure that some Boko Haram militants have been in the northern part of Cameroon in order to recruit new militants. We were talking about figures of the number of militants Boko Haram claimed. In 2006, they were claiming they had 300 active fighters. But the chief of the sect at the time, Mohammed Yusuf, was claiming 3,000 followers, students, as he was calling them, Talibans, in fact. Now we know that in 2009, when there were some fightings, the Nigerian authority said that they killed at least between 1,000 and 1,200 Islamist militants from Boko Haram. So that's a big number. It tripled from 2006. And we can expect that more escaped or were arrested. There was no trial, as far as I know, of women. And maybe their family of these militants arrested or killed were kind of threatened by the military or the police in the northern part of Nigeria. But nowadays, we don't know how many real fighters they can have. What we know also for sure is that some of them, maybe dozens, went into Mali in order to take part in some military training while it was occupied by the Islamist militant.
All right, so that shows just how much it's a changing situation. When we come back, we're going to look at what Boko Haram wants and how they're evolving. Stay with us. It's the France 24 Debate.